Hello and welcome to the Emotionally Fit Humans podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Taylor. I've designed this podcast to support you in becoming emotionally fit, to deepen the experience of leadership and life. I empower leaders to navigate change, creating trusting, efficient and confident teams. Specialising in leadership and human behaviour, I know the quality of the relationship we have with ourselves directly impacts the quality of our experiences. Join me on this journey of getting intimate in discovering the amazing human you are to be able to better support those that we lead and care about. Thank you for joining me. Now let's become emotionally fit humans together. Hello and welcome back to episode 4 of the Emotionally Fit Humans podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Taylor, and it's great to have you with me again. Thank you to those listeners who have subscribed to my channel, and thank you for sharing this with your friends. Please remember to like and subscribe, and any links that I share are always included in my description notes. In today's episode, we are looking at, is letting go of control the gateway to trusted leadership? So many leaders I speak with talk around, Lauren, I need to get on top of everything. I have to be in control and organise. And that if I'm not there doing the things, then nothing gets done. If I don't organise, everything falls apart. If I'm not organised, everything falls apart. I feel like I have to manage every single detail and every single person within the team. So these are surface level problems that leaders are facing. Secretly, most of the time, they are exhausted and they have no sense of energy left at the end of the day, trying to manage every detail, thinking constantly and not being able to switch off. So the leaders are actually convinced that their belief has now been hardwired into a fact. They think it is a fact that if they let go, everything will fall apart. The deeper problem underneath it all is that it's a sort of hidden fear that if I'm not there to hold it all together, I have no value. And the thing is, this keeps leaders trapped in a cycle of hypervigilance, perfectionism, and chronic overwhelm, which is sapping every little bit of leaders' energy. And hands up if you're a leader who feels like you are exhausted and sapped of energy every day. The deeper problem here is that the identity attachment is to be the one to hold it all together. That fear of losing relevance or value, that if people take on ownership and that I have no value, it demonstrates a complete lack of trust in others. Controlling leaders come with hard wiring around the fact that if you stop to rest, it actually means that you are lazy. So letting go is not an option for them, and delegation is an issue. Having difficulty letting go or releasing control gives the leader some sort of significance and is making them feel worthy. Therefore, control equals worthiness in their mind and for who they are as a person. The trouble here is the emotional experience or attachment, where leaders focus big amounts of energy in just one part of their day and their existence in their identity as a leader, resulting in anxiety, exhaustion, hypervigilance, overwhelm, frustration when others don't meet their unspoken, and I'm saying that inverted commas if you're listening, unspoken expectations, because there are expectations, but they are not clearly defined or communicated. So control fears judgment, and it also fears failure, which is why leaders are trying to protect their identity and protect that little ego sitting on their shoulder. There are two main beliefs at play here, where as a leader, they believe that if they're not in control, I'm not valuable. And the second belief is that control equals my success. Or as mentioned earlier, control means I am worthy in my identity. Some of you might be sitting with a bit of a lump in your chest at the moment, or a lump in your throat going, this is relevant to how I'm feeling. So what leaders need is a transformation in their identity from control-based leadership to trust-based leadership. From the need to control to feeling safe when delegation, empowerment, and in co-ownership of tasks. So in the hierarchy of accountability, there is clarity, because the gap in the lack of specifics of expectation is part of keeping control. So that is the shift. Trust gives people more powerful leadership. The myth is that most leaders think that being in control makes a great leader. But the truth is that the more you try to control everything, the less leadership you are actually doing. So the opportunity here is knowing what real leadership is about. Leadership is not about control. Leadership is about trust. It's about clarity, communication of expectations. It is delegation with the recognition that knowing that delegating is the competence journey, knowing that mistakes will be made and anticipating how those mistakes are going to be handled in yourself as a leader. Delegation is a process of competence and realizing that mistakes will be made. They're inevitable at the beginning, and then also taking account of that. So knowing how much that is going to cost, and not just in money, but it's not going to be the cost of your health, your time, and your life. It could be money. So how much is it going to cost me to train this person to be better at their job? But it's going to cost you more years of your life or more time doing the things that matter to you more. So what is the exchange? So it's recognizing how much mistakes will cost and budgeting for that, not only in terms of money, but in terms of your energy. So you know that when mistakes happen, and they can happen and will happen, you will be more okay in handling it. It's not going to be another sleepless night. It's like that inevitable truck on the highway that you get stuck behind. You expect it to happen. You're prepared for it. You're emotionally prepared for it. And here it is, and you're okay and more calm in how you respond to those mistakes, building that competence in the people around you that you've delegated to. So it is a shift to move from control-driven leadership to empowered, trusting leadership, so that you can reclaim your time, your energy, reduce stress, and be seen as someone who can be trusted. Because this is also the problem. No one comes to these controlling leaders unless they're there to whinge. It's a shift to where you can be trusted to guide and serve those who are moving through the competence journey. So the purpose of this episode is to unpack the real reason why so many leaders feel exhausted trying to control everything all the time, and discover how the need for control is based on one part of your identity, and how letting go can transform your team, and it will also transform your peace of mind. So let's look at what we think being an in control leader is. Maybe you equate control to safety, where you predict, manage, and direct outcomes with precision. Maybe you align it with being in charge, that you have to be in control, where you command or dictate what happens around here. It could be that you feel in a powerful state, or that you hold the power as a leader. It might be that control equals success for you, that feeling in control, totally on top of everything, micromanaging everything, feels successful to you. It could be that you feel that you have to micromanage, that you take on all responsibility to control results. So you have to be responsible for every project, every decision. It could give you authority or credibility with a title that some people aspire to hold. And it could be a focus on failure. Okay, I'm not good enough at this, so I can control it by focusing on what I can be successful at to overcome failure. And you may be thinking that I have to have all the answers to feel in control as a leader. So on the flip side, or on the contrast, let's look at what most people think being out of control is. Out of control, that feels like it's a fear-driven response. Out of control. It's chaotic, Lauren. It's disorganization, messy. It might lead to frustration. I'm frustrated with everything, everyone, all the time, that I'm carrying around this heavy load in my shoulders or in my neck of frustration. And I'm carrying an emotional state of maybe anger and frustration. It could be that when you feel things are out of control, that you're losing power, or that you're not capable. Maybe being out of control is confusion or disruption, and that it could make you feel stressed. So a controlling leader micromanages, and it's signaling a lack of trust in the people they lead. They become overwhelmed and disconnected actually from what the big picture is, the big vision that they may have, or why they're there. They create teams who become disengaged, waiting for instructions of what to do rather than proactively addressing challenges or taking on opportunities, seizing opportunities. The controlling leader also creates decision-making bottlenecks, where all decisions come back to that leader, and they have to approve every decision that is made. Now, let's look at trusting leaders. So maybe you want things to be a bit lighter. I'm moving my shoulders here as I'm stepping into the opposite side of a trusting leader, where they surrender control. It becomes more about, how can I influence and inspire other people? This trusting leaders send an invitation to discover potential in others. It's about service. And they create cultures where people innately go above and beyond what the expectations, the communicated expectations. They have that inspiration and innovation. They create cultures where creativity and collaboration soars, where communication across at all levels of the company improves. It might end up resulting in fun. They create a culture that fosters innovation. So it's empowerment through trust. It creates ownership, accountability, and responsibility within team members. Trusting leaders drive engagement and performance. So it takes a real shift in mindset from controlling leadership to trusting empowered leadership. It's a focus on growth, of helping others to improve. Trusting leaders creates psychological safe workplaces and environments where teams are heard, where team members are heard, where people feel included, they contribute and innovate. Trusting leaders set the tone and model the behaviours. So it's a paradox here where loosening the reins of control actually strengthens the team and organisation, which is redefining leadership. The importance here is knowing when and how to relinquish control, when to step in as a leader and when to sit back and step back and empower others. The reality is that in today's economy and businesses, unpredictability and complexity are the norms in business. And when leaders cling on, and I'm clinging on, gripping on too tightly to control, they stifle innovation, discourage initiative, and create a culture of reliance. So I'm now going to share with you a model that I share within Impact Lab, and it's called the Control Detox Model. The first step here is awareness. It's the key, the first step. I'll give you a brief overview. Think 3 concentric circles. 3 concentric circles. The inner circle is self-awareness of self, first of all, and of others. So being more aware of myself and of others in our team and organisation. And the question here is, what's going on? Unlocking our blind spots to see that we were unaware of. Then outside of that inner circle, in the control detox model, is self-regulation. This is where I talk about acknowledging and accountability of our emotional and our physical state as a leader of self and of others. So acknowledging our emotional and physical state of myself and the emotional and physical state of others. So the question here is, how do I feel about this? How might others be feeling about this? The aim here is neutrality. And it's one of where our emotional charge is managed. Then on the outer circle is self-leadership. This is what I call the actions. The question here is, what is within or outside of my control? So we look deeper to self-leadership, the things like our habits, our behaviours, our structures, our disciplines, that transforms how leaders operate and how they empower others. So self-control, yes, it's okay within self-leadership. And it's a foundation of leadership, because in order to lead others, you first must lean in and learn to lead yourself first. The emotional state, the response to stress, our physical reactions that we may be unaware of, things like eye rolls or our body language or how we hold ourselves. It's our attitudes and our behaviours. Showing up with our emotional state in control, knowing that we can guide and serve others, knowing that we can step back and empower others, where we can delegate. So let's just talk about one example of what this looks like. At the beginning of the journey, we build awareness and we find all the blind spots. So what am I aware of and what's outside of that? It takes a lot of energy to get to that stage, especially if I think of a dynamo doer as a leader, or someone who's more of that, and I'm referring back to E-DISC, a D energy, more that dominant person who is there to get the results and outcome based, and they automatically go into go, go, go mode. And so it can be quite taxing to step back and reflect and take a break. So this becomes a bit of a challenge to sit back and go, what am I aware of and what is outside of my awareness that I need to bring in front of my eyes and look at things or hear things that I'm not aware of. Then it becomes about, how do I feel about this? And how are the people around me feeling about this? To manage our emotional charge, to delve deeper into why certain emotions are turning up, feeling them, and then getting to a point of neutrality about it, to be about problems or about the project that you're going into to achieve the best outcome. And then to self-leadership, to turn up as our best selves as a leader in how we handle our emotions, the emotional states of others, and how we manage our response to achieve the best outcomes. So that's just a brief overview. And if you go to the description notes of this episode, I share a link with you for the model. So please click on that link if you would like to know further. Now, in wrapping up this episode, the opposite of control is actually trust. I've been there before, both as a leader at work and at home, and where we're wired to think that when we're not in control, it's chaos. I was there trying to control people, control what happens, even micromanaging. And what I discovered through being a coach and understanding how some people don't let go, because that they think by controlling everything, that everything is going to be organized and perfect. And if they let go of control, it means that things will get out of control, chaotic and messy and disorganized. Now, recently I've been reading Mel Robbins and one of her Let Them book. And one of the statements in that is that true leadership comes from you, your mindset, your actions, and your ability to influence, not control. So, what would it mean for you to learn to delegate effectively, understanding that trust gives you more freedom as a leader? You don't need more time. You don't need more strategies. You need more clarity in how you lead, how you respond, and how you show up under pressure. If you would like a copy of the Control Detox model, please go to the description notes, as I mentioned in this episode. I invite your thoughts of this episode or any of the previous 3 episodes. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on control versus trusting empowered leadership. And letting go of control is the gateway. I'd love to hear from you. Please subscribe to the Emotionally Fit Humans podcast, because when you do, you receive notifications of our next episode. And as they arrive, And I would love and be forever grateful if you could share this episode with your friends or at least one leader that you know. Until next time, I'm your host, Lauren Taylor, and let's become emotionally fit humans together. I'm telling you, the impact is worth it.